So, in case you haven't heard yet, the 49ers hired a new defensive coordinator today. It is the coaching veteran, Steve Wilks. And I've gotten some more information over the course of the few hours after the announcement of the hiring. I think it was first reported by Ian Rappaport. And one of the most intriguing things here is that the 49ers had defensive line coach Kris Kocurek sit in on part of the interview process with Steve Wilks. We talk about continuity. Kyle Shanahan said last week that he definitely wants to make sure that a lot of the 49ers defensive structure is preserved. Well, Kris Kocurek, the 49ers love him. They love the wide nine. That's not going anywhere. How cool is that Kris Kocurek sat in on part of the interview process for Steve Wilks? So you've got venerated coaches at all three levels now. Kocurek, defensive line, Johnny Holland, linebackers, and Steve Wilks has got a DB background. So Steve Wilks is going to bring some DB expertise for defense that is really shifting into a more balanced unit. It used to be very rush over coverage. I'd almost say it's little coverage over rush now, but it won't stay all that way all too long if you got Kris Kocurek in the building. Now, that leads me to this. 49ers and Brian Burns. Brian Burns is a very good edge rusher for Carolina, played under Steve Wilks last season, and take a look at what he said. This video from Jordan Elliott. This is at the Pro Bowl. Brian Burns on Steve Wilks.
Wilks is a great man, in my opinion. And one of the main things about him is that I think he cares more about his players as humans more than just his players. So that's the main thing about Wilks. Like, he taught me a lot, and he kind of just fit into that like father role for me. And he's just a genuine person to me.
So Brian Burns, who you saw there, obviously a very productive edge rusher, is on the same contractual schedule as 49ers edge rusher Nick Bosa. That means he's entering his fifth-year option season. Salary set to be about $17 million, but he's going to want an extension. And typically when we enter these fifth years, teams either give guys extensions, which I would ultimately expect Carolina to do, or they can trade them. And is that a possibility with the 49ers, who need to fortify their defensive line, which slipped this past year? Would the 49ers be able to scoop up Brian Burns? Probably not. Answer is I don't know, but it's something to keep an eye on, especially since he definitely, Steve Wilks definitely has the admiration of Brian Burns. Could be something that the 49ers try to push for, because I think one of the keys to this upcoming season is adding a bookending effective edge rusher to Nick Bosa. Maybe it's going to be Drake Jackson, but as we've seen, depth coming in waves can be something that is really, really beneficial for a defensive line. Finally, there's one more concern about Steve Wilks, and this one is asinine to me. People are saying, this guy, he's a coaching veteran. Obviously, he's good at his job, but he's just going to be gone within a couple years. Guys, the 49ers' goal is for Steve Wilks to be hired within a couple years. And I'm not even talking about the 2 comp picks that would come if he's hired for a promotion elsewhere after staying with the 49ers for at least 2 seasons. But this goes back to Bill Walsh and career advancement with assistant coaches. If you get hired for a promotion within a couple years, that means that you've been coaching an elite defense, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. The 49ers were happy that Robert Saleh was good enough to get hired as head coach. They were happy that DeMeco Ryans was good enough to get hired as head coach, and they would be thrilled if Steve Wilks left within a couple years to become a head coach. All right, talk to everybody soon. Just a quick little update here. Kocurek, Steve Wilks, and hey, maybe a little Brian Burns for the 49ers. We'll talk to you all soon.